name is Alex. A few relevant things are that I'm the proud husband of a wonderful lady called Irene and the proud father of a number of children, Rubia, Josie, Bibo, and Sean, and many others anyway. So what I want to do is to share about giving and what I feel is important. I think that we are all incredibly blessed. I feel incredibly blessed, and I feel that I want to define my life by blessing others too. And I want to be deliberate about it. But I'll share an interesting story that will give you a bit of perspective. And so many years ago, I wanted to do my master's outside in Canada, and I remember getting the letter, and I was very excited. But you know how these admission letters go. So you see the congratulations, you're jumping, you're whooping, and then you go down and then you realize that there's an amount of money you need to pay. And I didn't have that money. And so I set upon myself to look for money too. So I got a tuition scholarship to a school called Queens in Canada. But I didn't have the money to pay for my living expenses. And at that time it was quite a bit. So I sent emails. Emails had just started. I sent emails, I made calls, spoke to the scholarship secretariat, all hitting a brick wall. And to cut a very long story short, a decade previously I met a man in Denmark where I lived there for a year as an exchange student. He came to visit his daughter and I met him. So I sent him an email asking him whether he could help. He was a member of the Rotary Club. Long story short, at first he said, well, they don't do this, they don't do that. But I was there one day when he sent an email that I should go to the Canadian High Commission. And when I got to the High Commission, he'd faxed a letter to them saying that he would take care of all my living expenses for 12 months. And that was that. And they gave me the visa. In fact, the woman who was giving the visas was so surprised that she asked me how many years I wanted, when previously she didn't want to give me the visa, but so that was it, she gave it to me. But the details of the discussions with Harry were that the gentleman who helped me is called Harry Keed. He's an old retired Canadian judge. And he said he wanted to help me so that I'd come back to Ghana to help others. But it was a loan he was giving me. So for 12 months, he was giving me $1,000 a month, which was more than enough to take care of myself. Fast forward, I go to school. But that made me very comfortable in school because I didn't have to work or like how other people do too. So that was it. So I'm in school. The funny thing is that there's an aside to the story because I really hustled in school. And it was embarrassing because here's somebody who helped me. And at a point, it got so bad that in January that year, I think it was January 1998, when my results for first semester came, I had flunked and I had to be kicked out of school. I don't think I even knows that. So I go to my school counselor and they give me my letter and say that you failed. Well, you failed micro and macro, was 3 subjects. And so it's time to, at Queens, it's hard to get into Queens, but it's also hard to get out. So this is it. And there was no fighting me because I worked so hard that semester that I thought, well, that was that. But then she picked up one of my results and I'd done pretty well in the subject that I felt was hardest. And she said, you did really well in this. So we'll do something you've never done before. We'll give you another 5 days to rewrite the subjects that you failed. If you pass, you are in the program. 5 days. It was 5 days of, I can't quite explain it. But I went through those 5 days. And on that 5th day, it was a Friday, I wrote the papers, one of the papers that I failed, and the pass mark was 65. And guess what I got? I got exactly 65. So I was able to stay in the program, and I was able to put my chest out and do the honorable thing because Harry did help me. Anyway, so at the end of the period, I had to go back to, I was in Ontario, I had to go to Alberta. I'd saved $1,000, which I was going to use to start paying him back. And so I traveled all the way to Alberta. We have a discussion, and I have $1,000 in an envelope. And he says, and I say, this is the first of the amount that you gave, the first tranche. And his reaction sets the tone for the rest of my life. He said, I don't want the money back. All the money I've given you this past year, and it was quite a bit, I don't want it back. I want you to bless others like I've blessed you, so that people's lives are better. And that was it. But it set me thinking. And so I was freed of the debt, right? Just like how Christ was freed of our debts of sin. But this set me on a path, like, and so I came back to Ghana, got married. But it made me think about being very deliberate about giving. And there's so many verses in the Bible, scattered in the Bible, that talk about giving, where you get back, where it's better to give than to receive. So many verses, and it's made me realize that it is actually better to bless than to give than to receive, because it makes people better off. It makes people happier, and it actually gives you a deep sense of gratification. So this is a bit difficult because we're not supposed to let the right hand go from the left, but so I've tried to live the rest of my life being delicate about it, just trying to live out what Harry and what Jesus has done. And there are a number of stories that I could share. So one of them, I don't want to mention her name, but maybe I'll mention her name. She makes me very proud. She was in a Greek girls, and her father passed. And then her mother too passed, but really intelligent. And so somebody told Irene and I, and I doff my hat off, oh, I'm wearing a hat to my wife, Irene, who's been a bigger giver than I am. So we met this little girl. She must have been 16 or 17 by then, and both parents had passed. And she just needed, sometimes it takes very little to change people's lives. I think at the time it was less than 200 cities a term, so just to keep her in school. So Irene and I took it up, and she passed with flying colors. She passed so well that she got into tech to do a doctorate in pharmacy. That must have been around 2011, 2012. Today she's a doctor of pharmacy. When she calls, she says, "Daddy," and I'm so thrilled because I feel that God has allowed us to play a role in making the world a better place. And if you're able to do that one person at a time, we can't all be pastors, we can't all be ashes at church, but if we are able to give up what we have, I think we're also doing what Christ asked us to do, and I think that it makes the world a much better place. Over time, I've realized that just a little amount can turn somebody's path from being a potential, with all due respect, prostitute, into being a potential doctor, or pediatrician, or a teacher. And we have to be deliberate about it. Another thing I've realized about giving and helping others is that you don't need to be and we are there to do that. You can live your ordinary life, ordinary in quotes, broke life, and still give. Sometimes you should give so that it hurts you, but since Irene and I started this, we've actually never wanted for anything. Of course, we've had moments when we are tight, but it seems as if God has deliberately blessed us, especially since we started doing this. And there are more stories I can share. I've spoken about the pharmacist. There's another lady in Tamale, far away. And when we got to know about her, she was traveling to finish secondary school. And she was living with somebody who was abusing her before giving her school fees. So Irene said, okay, let's take this up. We were able to help. And again, the amounts, this was before free secondary education came. And the amounts can be desperately small. 150 cedis, 180 cedis, put together some money, done. She's doing very well. We see her, no, we don't see her often, but she gets in touch. And it's such a gratification knowing that you played a direct role. God allowed you to play a direct role in making somebody worth something. And that's my core message, that for those of us who feel relatively comfortable, I mean, like I said, we're not millionaires. Those of us who feel that we've been blessed, it makes absolutely no sense building up a portfolio of material things, because we won't cross the line with it. We won't go to heaven with the nicest shoes or the nicest cars. It's okay to have one, two, but we won't go to heaven with it. But it is better to leave a legacy in people's hearts. It's better to change the world one heartbeat at a time. And if we do that, I mean, Jesus didn't build a house. He didn't. But the legacy he left is carried on for more than 2,000 years. And so the message I want to leave is two things. One, it is better to give than to receive. And you don't need to be the wealthiest person to do that. But you need to be deliberate about doing that. Because when you do that, you're blessing others. And it creates a virtuous cycle of blessings that makes the world a better place. And that's why we are here, to make the world a better place for Christ. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my message.